everyone, and welcome to Ask an Author. Today on our show, we are very excited to have Cate Whittle. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
So great to have you here, and I can't wait to ask you a whole heap of questions. But before we do that, can you tell me a little bit about how you became an author?
How I became an author. Wow, that seems to have been something I've been doing for a very long time, because I started writing. I loved writing, telling stories, even when I was a very little girl. And I always wanted to be an author. I always wanted to write books. I love books. So I planned to, but then life got in the way. Doesn't life have the tendency to do that? And I became a mum, and I became a teacher. And then I'm just thinking some time ago, not too long ago, or maybe it was forever ago, I entered some competitions. I just had written some stories and I won. Ooh. And it went from there. And I've been writing ever since. I love it.
Isn't it great that sometimes you just need that little bit of encouragement and it just sends you off on this beautiful journey?
Absolutely. And competitions are a really good way to do it, because you can get some feedback from other people and find out about what you're doing, and you can practice in a sort of a real world environment where you have to meet a deadline and get your story all polished up and beautiful. So competitions are a really good way to start.
Great advice. And we've got some aspiring authors who have sent through questions for you today. I've got my very special book here that I write down all of the questions in, and we've got some really fun questions for you. Would you be able to answer some of the questions from the kids?
Okie doke, here we go.
Alrighty, so Hemi wants to know, when you were a kid, did you read very much?
Do you know what I did? I read lots as a kid. I loved books. I could read from a very, very early age. I actually learned to read before I started school, and I had my own library card when I was 4 years old, and my family used to go to the library a couple of times a week. Now, this was in the days of the dinosaurs when we didn't have computers to play on, and we had 2 channels on the television and they weren't very good. And so, reading was the best entertainment. I used to spend a lot of my days outside running around playing games, and then most of the evenings reading books, because that was the best thing to do. And in England, the evening could start at 4 o'clock because the sun went down. So, yeah, a lot of reading.
That's amazing. Yeah, I do too. I do too. So Grace wants to know, where do you get your ideas from?
People always ask that question. It's a great question. And different people have different answers. I heard one time somebody said, oh, it's on the supermarket shelf, 3rd aisle, halfway down. But I never found them there. It was usually the sugar or something like that.
I must be in the wrong place.
I must be. I never did find out where it was. But I find I get lots of ideas just from overhearing a snippet of conversation, or seeing something happening in the distance and wondering what's going on, and asking the question, what if? For one of my, for my first book that was published, Trouble at Home, I wondered, what if a dragon stole a house? And that's where the story started. And it was just a silly question. What if? What if a pen ran away? What if, a dog learned to speak? And then you can come up with all sorts of story ideas.
Oh, I think that's a great way to get story ideas, asking the question, what if? Now, Hugo wants to know, do you have a favourite book?
A favourite of my own or someone else's?
So let's do both. What's the favourite one that you've ever written, and do you have any favourites, either from growing up or now?
I have to say, it's hard to say you've got a favourite book. It's like saying, have you got a favourite child? And nobody has a favourite child. You like your children for all different reasons, and they're all equally special. But I kind of always feel very attached to the one that's most recent, the one that I've been working on, simply because it's there in front of you all the time. So that, at the moment, that would be Emergency Rescue Angel, which came out earlier this year. Unfortunately, in the middle of all the lockdowns and everything, so I couldn't have a proper launch. But, you know, I've got a special spot for that at the moment. But of all the books that I've ever read, I think my favourite one was The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, which
Yes.
really introduced me to that whole idea of another world that's really different and exciting and full of adventure and fantasy. So, yeah.
Did you ever go looking in cupboards to see if you could find
I'm
it?
still looking. Every time I find a new wardrobe, I have to open the door just to see. Not yet, though.
We'll keep trying. We'll keep trying.
Never stop.
No, no. Now, Max wants to know, can you sing?
Can I sing? You know, everyone can sing, and I really, really believe everyone can sing, and you should. It's lots of fun. You should enjoy yourself and just belt out every so often. Whether I can sing well, that's a different question.
Yeah, technically he didn't ask that, did he? He just said, can you sing?
Yeah. You know, when I was at school, I was always in the choir. I loved the choir. I used to sing soprano, which is the high notes. And I've been in a lot of musicals in the chorus. I was never good enough to get one of the major roles or anything, but I just love singing. It's lots of fun. And I still do, but mostly in the shower these days.
Yeah, or in the car to embarrass my kids. I do that.
Oh, yeah, I know. Turn up the radio and sing along with the songs.
I love that. And Josh wants to know, do you have a favourite sport?
That's another hard one. I'm really bad at favourites. Have you spotted this? I have a lot of trouble. When I was little, I think my favourite sport was soccer. I used to love watching soccer, playing soccer, and even, you know, as I was a mum and I was a soccer mum standing on the pitch, I still loved the game. But I've also done lots of other things. Like I'm very short, but I used to play volleyball. And I loved volleyball. And I eventually, as a teacher, met the Australian volleyball team, the women's volleyball team. And they'd come to the school and were doing some teaching, you know, the kids how to play volleyball. And I said to one of them, oh, I used to play competition volleyball. And she looked down like this and she said, how? I used to jump a lot.
Yeah, me too. I used to play netball. I'm tiny, but I used to play netball and lots of jumping, yes. And fast running.
Oh, yes. Those are the important things.
Yes. Maddie wants to know, are you scared of anything?
Am I scared? Yeah. Aren't we all? We're all scared of things. There's lots of little things that are sort of scary, like spiders and things that go bump in the night. And I'm scared of those. I think probably they're rational, though. It's okay to be scared of things like that because it could be something bad and you need to be ready to run away or something. And I know after I became a mum, I became scared of heights. Not my heights, their heights. When they climbed up on things, and my fingers and toes would tingle because I'd get so worried. So heights are a big thing for me. But, you know, there's irrational fears too. And I have one really amazing irrational fear, which is slime. Slime, yeah, I know. I hate the feel of it, and I live in fear. Have you seen those television shows where people get drenched in slime?
Yes.
I have this irrational fear that one day I'll get drenched in slime. I don't know, maybe a dragon will sneeze on me or something, but that's my big thing. That's the irrational fear.
What happens if you're nominated for one of those Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards and that's what you get as your congratulations? You get slimed. Oh my God!
I'd have to say, I have to take one of those big sou'westers and a big raincoat and an umbrella with me and stand there and go, ooh.
Oh, that's so strange. Do you know why? Do you have any idea how that came about?
I don't know. I really don't. But, you know, again, when I was a teacher, slime was very popular at school and the kids would make slime and bring it to school. And we even did it in science because it's a great science experiment to make slime. But I just hate the feel of it. It's just one of those things that makes me, gives me the little shivers up my spine.
Interesting. Wow, that's amazing. Phoebe wants to know, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be an author. I always wanted to write books. I mean, I think for a little while I thought a vet might be a good idea because I love animals. And then I realised I might love animals, but I hate, you know, medicine and
Blood.
and things like that. So
Yeah.
I realised I wouldn't make a very good vet at all.
Yeah.
So I gave that idea up. And then I became a teacher, which I always said I would never do, because my dad was a teacher and my great aunt was a teacher. I could see how much work they did all the time. I thought, you know, I'm not that silly, but I did.
Apparently you are.
And I loved it. I loved it. It was the best career.
And has being a teacher helped you with your writing?
I think so, because one, it's kept me, you know, young. You have to be young at heart to be a teacher, and you get to see what the kids like and what they're doing, and you listen to them speak, and you just get to know the sorts of things that they're interested in. And kids can be really encouraging. I've had some of the best classes who've said, oh, read us a story, tell us that one again. So that's really nice.
That's awesome. So what do you think is the most important thing about what you do?
The most important thing? Well, I think it's literally being able to share stories, which are super important. We all our lives are a big story, and to know that you can relate to a character in a story and feel close to them and maybe get some ideas about how you can solve problems and things like that. I think that's really important. But I also just like to think that I make people laugh a little bit sometimes, because I think we don't laugh enough.
No. And it's just so nice to read a book that makes you smile.
Absolutely. Just to give you that little sense of, oh, that was cool.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And do you believe that books can change the world?
I do, because I think, as I said, it gives you ways of thinking about the world that might be different to the ones that are immediately in front of you. So it opens your horizons and gives you a lot more to think about. And you might never have heard some of these ideas if you didn't read them in a book. Even if it's a storybook, you still find new things out all the time. Yeah.
And you learn things by accident.
Yes, I know, isn't it? It's almost tricky.
It's my most fun way to learn things. I'd rather learn
I
things
agree,
by accident.
absolutely.
Now, do you have any advice for kids who are watching and listening who think that they might like to be an author when they grow up?
You know, I think there's 3 things to think about. First of all, read lots of books, lots of different kinds of books. And as you read, work out what it is you like about them and what it is you don't like about them. So reading is really important. Practice writing. I mean, obviously you're going to have to build up those skills, but the most important thing is to just keep going, because it can get very discouraging sometimes if you can't get the story to work just the way you want it to do. And you might think, oh, I've had enough of this, and just throw it away. But sometimes all you need to do is just keep going, and it all comes right. So keep going.
You have to be really resilient to be an author, don't you?
You do. It's not easy to just do it and everything is like bright lights and confetti.
Yeah.
You've just got to keep going, and it's worth it though. You know, it is so worth the extra work you put in.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
You have done so well at answering the kids' questions. If they have got other questions that they've thought of now that they've listened to you talk, or maybe there's something about you that they want to know more about, what's the best way for kids to get in contact with you?
Well, I've got a website which is called Cate Whittle Writes, so www.catewhittlewrites.com, and I have a contact form on that website, or you can just email me at kate@catewhittlewrites.com, all one word.
Awesome. Well, what I might do is I might put those details in the description, so that if we've got some kids watching who would love to connect with you and you've inspired them and they want to ask you some more questions, that they will be able to get in contact with you and you can connect with them and hopefully share a little bit more about the inner workings of an author's brain, which is sometimes
That would be fabulous. I would love to hear from people. So if they want to email me, that would be great.
Awesome. Kate, thank you so much for taking the time to answer the kids' questions today. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate everything you do to put smiles on kids' faces when they're reading your book. So thank you for that.
Oh, no, it's been so lovely to talk to you today, Michelle. I've really enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing what comes out of people having a go and doing their own thing, writing. It's excellent.
Exactly. Yep. So if you want to see more videos like this one and hear more stories about creative people, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and you can join us on another episode of Ask an Author.
Yay!